Hey guys, welcome back to Signs and Wonders for this End Times Prophecy Watch. Massive, crazy earthquakes incoming for the West Coast and California area. Check it out.
This is a little bit scary. Scientists say there's now evidence two of the best-known earthquake fault lines on the West Coast are in sync, and that has the potential for a major disaster.
What if the big one was more than one? A new study suggests the two biggest West Coast fault lines, the San Andreas and Cascadia, may be seismically linked, and theoretically, a quake on one could trigger a quake on the other.
Scientists are now sounding the alarm over a rare kind of earthquake that could shake California harder than anything we've seen before. They're called super shear quakes. And researchers say the San Andreas fault could be the perfect setup.
Two of the West Coast's biggest faults could trigger each other, leading to a disastrous megaquake. Oh dear.
Scientists say this new information should again encourage the public and public agencies to prepare for the big one, or maybe two. It may sound new to most of us, but scientists have been looking into a seismic link between the San Andreas Fault in Northern California and the Cascadia subduction zone in the Northwest since 1999. Now a new study, headed by scientists at Oregon State University studying layers of sediment, seems to show that earthquakes on one, like the Loma Prieta quake in 1989, could possibly impact the other. The study's lead author, marine geologist Chris Goldfinger, tells us it's important to note that a quake on either one wouldn't necessarily trigger the other or make the damage worse.
If you had a 1906 style earthquake in San Francisco, it would be similar to the 1906 earthquake, and you would never know about Cascadia going off just by your personal experience.
Can make it a lot more dangerous than an earthquake that we may have felt maybe just about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Let's talk about the risk that actually exists in California. We mentioned the San Andreas Fault. Is there a risk that a super shear earthquake strikes us? Is that what we should be considering as, quote, the big one?
Well, I think the risk is real, and there's high probability that the next big earthquake on one of the California's long faults, like the San Andreas or the Hayward or the San Jacinto fault, would be a super shear, because our statistics suggest that for earthquakes with magnitude larger than 7, worldwide, almost 1/3 of these earthquakes were super shear. Now, California is at a risk of a big earthquake, whether it's a super shear or sub shear, and both of them could be really damaging, and we should be preparing for it.
A new study by experts at Oregon State University focuses on the San Andreas Fault here in Northern California and the Cascadia subduction zone off the coast of Oregon and Washington. So scientists looked at sediment pulled from the ocean and found earthquakes on one fault have the potential to set off the other within hours. Just one large earthquake could be devastating, but two in a row could mean massive emergencies across the entire West Coast. Researchers say emergency planners should prepare for that possibility.
USGS map. And what we're looking at is the San Andreas Fault. So the San Andreas Fault roughly is this one. I'm going to turn this off so you can just kind of see it as a plate boundary. Now, we know that the San Andreas Fault has a northern portion of it and a southern portion of it. So it's split up, right? And basically, researchers don't have any connection from northern San Andreas Fault to southern San Andreas Fault. But there is another zone up here called the Cascadia zone that this new study says earthquakes that have happened up here in this zone, they have evidence, they say, to prove has almost immediately triggered an earthquake on the San Andreas Fault. Now, they say after thousands of years of studies, they've literally unearthed data that proves that this is the possibility of happening. Now, the expert that I spoke with tonight says this is a very unique situation and says the author of this study isn't afraid to make assumptions, and also says that this is something that he has been kind of theorizing for the last 20 years. Now, while he does say that the evidence in this study does make the idea a little bit more, we'll say, possible here, he does say that it's still pretty unlikely.
You know, it would be an oh my gosh event. On the other hand, the indications are it's not common. It wouldn't be the next thing we'd expect to see. It's one of those things that could hit and would have tremendous impact if it's the full extent that he's arguing. And so, yeah, it's an oh my gosh event, but the likelihood isn't that high.
Yeah, so the study says that could potentially happen. The man I spoke with, John, there says he'd like some peer review on that study first to really get its full impact.
What changes, though, is that if you have two two great earthquakes in Cascadia and the San Andreas going off in close proximity, either one alone would draw down the resources of the country trying to respond to that.
One interesting possible benefit, a quake on one fault could tell us what might happen on the other linked fault.
So it could serve as a natural warning system that a San Andreas earthquake might be coming sometime soon. It could be hours, days, weeks, months, even years, and we wouldn't be able to say that. But it would certainly be an alarm bell for the San Andreas.
Now, scientists are quick to point out that kind of warning would not be considered a prediction, and despite the significance of this study, Goldfinger says he wants other scientists to test the theory by researching past earthquakes from California to Washington.
And so we should be paying attention for this type of earthquakes that was believed to be rare, but now scientists know that it's not any longer rare as we get better measurements and so on.
Good morning. We are coming on the air early this morning. I'm Laura Garcia with Marcus Washington. Breaking news this morning. Did you feel it? A 4.3 earthquake in Berkeley rattles the East Bay area.
You can see right now, this is a map of that area. You can see the 4.3 struck around 2:56 this morning. At first it came in as a 4.6, but it has been downgraded to a 4.3. We also heard from the National Weather Service, no indication that a tsunami is here, so there's no threat of that, so that's something we don't have to worry about. Also, we have not gotten any reports of any serious damage or any issues with people being hurt. Now, the USGS is reporting more than 20,000 people felt that quake as far north as Yuba City and as far south as Salinas.
Or with this earthquake specifically, it was along the Hayward fault line. And I want to pull up a couple things when it comes to that fault line. You take a look behind me. We monitor a lot of them. The San Andreas, of course, that runs just along the peninsula. But as we head over into the Hayward fault line, there is a lot of activity with this one. There's been some small aftershocks since then. Let's see if we could zoom in. There's lots to talk about with this. There was a 26% chance that we could see stronger than a 3.0 as mentioned. Another thing with this too, the USGS, we keep a close eye on what they have to say. This was definitely one to wake us up and remind us that there could be stronger. There's a 75% chance just within the next 50 years alone, 150 years actually, that we could see something stronger.
Good morning. Well, here in California, this earthquake really a reminder of how we should have a plan in place. We've seen the notification from police here in Berkeley letting people know to take cover. There is the possibility here of aftershocks. And we are talking to students this morning. Some people not even asleep, but just awake when this earthquake happened close to 3 a.m. I have Kobe joining me this morning. Kobe, come over here. Tell us what you felt this morning. This is your first earthquake being felt for you. You're from China. You're a freshman here at UC Berkeley. What was going on when the shaking happened?
Yes, it was my first time to feel an earthquake. I was from China and I was awake playing with my phone this morning, but I suddenly the earthquake came and I was completely frightened and didn't have time to think about what I should do. So I just, based on my instinct, just ran out of my room. But luckily the earthquake ends within 3 seconds or 5, so I was safe, and that was very fortunate. I was really scared though.
I know. I feel like I could hear it. You know, so scared that you couldn't go back to sleep. So tell us what you did next. You're on campus for a reason here.
Yeah, actually I tried to sleep on my bed for 10 minutes, but I decided I would just rather go to the library and do some homework because I really couldn't get to sleep after the earthquake.
I'm sure a lot of people are feeling the same way. I remember being, a child in my parents' home when Northridge happened. And it was one of those things is how do you go back to bed after something like that? So in China, you're saying you also have a lot of preparation for earthquakes and you guys go through drills at school as well.
Yeah, in primary school, we had a lot of drills. We are supposed to protect ourselves under desks. And after that, in order to prepare for aftershocks, we need to go down the building and find a safe place. But when the earthquake actually came, I didn't think about anything I was taught. It was just so scary.
I know it's hard, right, to program that in our minds. Kobe, thank you for talking to us this morning. And hey, welcome to California. Now you've been initially here. You probably heard about all the earthquakes we have, and now you finally got to feel one for yourself. Thanks for joining us this morning. So yeah, I guess the reminder this morning for Kobe is that, we hear all the time is be prepared, have a plan, so that when it does happen, you know how to take action, and we're safe here in our community. So we do have the possibility of those aftershocks, hoping we don't have them. Not a way you want to wake up at 3 a.m.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell, and turn on all notifications so you never miss an episode or live event. God bless you and your families.